Hey Sam,
Hey Bev, how's it going?
it's going good. It's a happy Sunday.
Well, yes, I hear you opening something over there, and I also noticed today that you were wearing a tank top.
Yes,
So, happy day.
it is so nice outside. It's not even funny.
How warm is it there?
It was like 58 today,
Okay.
which I know that doesn't sound very warm, but in the sun, it's pretty warm. Wow, I really hard poured that
I,
wine.
I,
Did
I
you
could
hear
hear
that?
that. I was like, she sounds like she's ready to drink. Look, 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 look.
That was a good one. Oh, you can't see the goat through the red wine. That's
Aw.
unfortunate. That's all right though.
You need to get one that has, instead of black, like white cut out.
Oh, see, I don't drink dark things often enough, apparently. My go-to beer is usually some sort of wheat beer of some kind,
Oh.
which is very, very yellow.
So, since you're not drinking something light and yellow, what are you drinking?
So this is a red wine that my
Ooh.
friend who has a little farm just up the road from me, she's out of town and I'm farm sitting for her and she left me a bottle of red wine as a thank you and it's called Death Metal Red, which was so
Ooh.
appropriate because I was watching your stories and there was like metal going on in the background of Loki going all crazy with some hay. And I saw this wine
Yeah.
after I watched that video,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, that's totally what I'm drinking tonight.
For the record, I do not listen to angry, screaming, death metal type music. That's my husband. And it drives me crazy when he listens to it when I'm in the car with him because it gives me anxiety. Like, first of all, his driving gives me anxiety to begin with. He just gets closer to people than I would. So when you add in the angry music, like, I just can't. I can't
You're like,
handle it.
nope, I'm done. I can't do this today.
But since he was building me a Calduck house area thing, he can listen to whatever he wants when he's
Fair
doing that.
enough. Fair enough. But what's so amazing about this wine, besides the fact that it's called Death Metal Red, it's that the label is just a unicorn and a rainbow.
Oh, you're gonna have to
And
take a
that's it.
picture of that so we can see that.
Yes. And on the back, it has a definition of death metal,
Hmm.
and it says number one, a style of heavy metal music that may invoke campy slasher films, Lovecraftian horror, nature, mysticism, mythology, philosophy, or science fiction. And number two is Tap into the Unicorn. This one goes to 11.
Oh my gosh. I want that wine just for the bottle. That is fantastic.
Right. I'm gonna have to ask her where she got this. In fact, this bottle is a keeper. I'm gonna hold on to this bottle, but it also gets like an extra point from me because it was a screw top as well.
Ooh. Nice.
So it has like all the things. I haven't even tasted it yet. I have no idea if it sucks.
Well, I hope it doesn't.
Everything else is amazing about it, so I don't care.
Well, and screw tops are actually one of the better ways to store wine long term if you don't have it. I like have these fancy little cork things that you pop in and they're like rubber and then it has this suction thing so it's theoretically sucks all the air out of it. So those are pretty cool,
Oh.
but the screw tops are like way better at preserving the wine than like shoving a cork back in there. So extra points to Death Metal Unicorn wine.
Well, and I had a choice between two wines today because I went
Oh.
to a new winery in Southern Ohio. It's called Nozdrovia. I had to ask them how to pronounce it. It's Czechoslovakian,
Mm.
Nozdrovia. It's in Kingston, Ohio, which
Hey,
is
that's
like
cool.
this little tiny like nowhere town, but it's in my county. It's part of Ross County. So we were all excited because we were
Huh.
like, a winery in Ross County? Like we gotta go check this out. And it was surprisingly good. But I did not drink their wine today because it required a cork remover. And I was like, nope, not gonna do that. Not while
Ah,
I'm recording. That can't happen. So screw top it
too
was.
much
Yeah,
work.
too much work. But I do have a bottle of it. And I'll get to enjoy that some other time.
Uh-oh.
Not today.
Well, I mean, something pretty monumental happened on Friday when you were perusing said winery and then allegedly bar hopping
Hmm.
afterwards. Sam and Bev had their first drunk texting session.
Oh, that's right.
'Cause Bev was a little drunky pants
Drunky
and
pants.
Sam was a little drunky pants.
I was like, I'm drinking wine. Who can I tell about this that would care? I was like, I know who would care. Sam would care. Sam cares that I'm drinking wine. And I was gonna try to take a picture of it, but for some reason I just could not get that done. I don't know why. Apparently I'd had too much wine already by that point. But I sent you a message.
It's fine. You did. Yes, we sent many messages back and forth. It was pretty entertaining because I was a little buzzy pantsed all by myself. I mean, people were at my house, obviously, but I was the only one under the influence. So it was very fun to have that moment with you, 6 to 7 hours apart,
Yes.
you know.
Well, and it was a good time too because I got to meet some more new people in my town, which is always exciting to me. And then we went to this like crazy dive bar afterwards because, we shut the winery down, of course, because apparently we're rowdy like that. And we went to a place called the Village Inn, which is also in Kingston. And apparently it's also known as the Villaggio. They like call it the Villaggio of Ross County. It's just a really shitty like dive bar. But my eyes were like all blurry. I wear contact lenses and I don't see like super super clear. So like after I've already been drinking for a little while, it gets even worse. And I was like squinting at the refrigerator because they've got the clear refrigerators in the back of the bar, trying to like see what the beer is, and I can't really tell. So I just asked the lady, I'm like, "Oh, so what kind of craft beer do you have?" And she's like, "What? What's that?" And I was like, like local Ohio beer. And she's like, I don't think we have any. I was like, just give me a Yingling. She's like, okay, I can do that.
Yep, that does sound like a dive, yes.
It's a fun dive,
But
but it was
I
a dive
mean,
nonetheless.
there's really nothing wrong with dives. So,
I mean, I enjoy going to them.
absolutely. Me too.
So what are you drinking? I've just talked for like 7 minutes all about my wine
I
capades.
mean, you have unicorn death metal wine, so it's totally reasonable. I am drinking a cherry wine from Tabor Hill, which is local. It's on the west side of Michigan. And it's pretty delicious. I guess this would be considered a dessert wine, and since I had dinner already, I guess I'm having dessert. So it just tastes like cherries, and it's delicious. And it really just tastes like juice, which is dangerous. And I have this wine glass. It's a different wine glass than the other one I can fit a whole bottle of wine in because this one has a stem. But I almost put the whole bottle of wine in there, and I was like, "Oh, slow down, cowgirl. You have to work tomorrow."
Right? That's the only down part about recording on a Sunday.
I know.
But at the same time, I think it would be too hard to record on a Saturday. Like,
Oh,
Saturday nights are like when you like try to go do stuff if you can, or if you're going to go do stuff. Not me. I slept a lot on Saturday night because, I drank so much on Friday night. As I get older, I find that I'm having a harder time recovering
oh,
from that.
oh, yeah.
Even though I did not get a headache and I did not feel hungover whatsoever, it was just that I was really tired because I didn't get home until midnight. So then, like I only got 7 hours of sleep, and then I did some work around the house and around the farm, and I was just exhausted.
Oh, yeah, I get that. I, yeah, whether I like quote unquote go hard or not, I just feel like the recovery as you get older is just so much like, I don't know how I used to do it. Like, I would go to the bar and like shut it down till 2 and then just get up at 7 and go to an 8 a.m. class. And yeah, I'd be tired, but I could power through the whole day. Or I wouldn't even go to bed and then I just get up and go to like my part-time job or whatever. I'm like, how did I do that? Because now it's like if I like go hard, it's not good. Like it takes like over a day to feel like a normal human again.
Yeah.
And all of you
Welcome to
early 20
30.
somethings out there that just think that won't happen to you because you just bounce back so quickly now, it's coming for you. The worst hangovers of your life, they're coming for you. Get ready for the dry heaving and the lack
Yes.
of sleep.
I remember only just a few years ago, this wasn't even very long ago, a few years ago, like I would go out with my friends and, we would like have a few beers. And after, like two or three, some of my other friends were like, oh, no, I can't drink any more beer. Like it's making me feel super full. I was like, what? Beer is not food. Like, how is this making you feel full? I don't get it. I can do like at least three or four more of
Hmm.
these. And I'm going to be a-okay. Now, if I try to drink just like several beers in a row, yeah, I get that super full, like yucky feeling in my stomach. And I'm like, oh, now I get it. Is this what intestines do to you when you're in your 30s? It must just be because I'm in my 30s, because when I was in my 20s, I did not have this problem.
Oh yeah. Especially craft beers, like they are like a meal.
Some of them are,
Yeah.
yeah.
Back in the day, I could put back some Natty Lights like you would not believe, which is just disgusting now.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I'm alienating somebody if I call it crappy beer, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Not craft beer.
Low
Crappy
quality,
beer, just low quality beer, yeah, inexpensive, cheap beer.
mass produced.
It has a place.
Yes.
Mass produced beer. Yeah, I like drinking it when it's super hot out and I'm just like doing a ton of stuff and I want to make sure that I don't pass out and die of heat exhaustion. I'll drink like the super light, like, kind of watered down tasting beer. Although some craft breweries are starting to come out with beer that fits that bill. It tastes good, but it doesn't have the super high ABV. Like the session IPAs, they're only like the 4%ers,
Oh.
or the light, like sort of bubbly fruit beers. Those I can do outside in the summer now too. So I'm finding that I am not getting that super cheap watery beer so much anymore because I don't have to. The craft breweries are starting to fill that niche for me. But that did not used to be the case either. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too much of a casual beer drinker to begin with, but I don't know, there's something about the summer that just makes you want something that's not a red wine. So yeah, I'll have to look into some of those lighter beers that are not like Bud Light, Coors Light, one of the lights. The other day, though, I had a hankering for lemonade and vodka, which was super random because it's not like something I drink like ever. But I think it was because I had some Tito's in with one of my seltzer waters that was like a kiwi one, and I squeezed a bunch of fresh lemon in there. So I think that's where it came from because that was quite refreshing. That was my Friday night beverage.
I've got a couple of cocktail recipes that I want to try this summer. The book that we're reading in the book club, it's called Edible Landscape with a Permaculture Twist. It has booze recipes in
Ooh.
it, like after a bunch of the chapters, which I find pretty exciting. Now, none of the things that are in it are like in season yet because we're reading the book, before everything has come, to fruition and is ready to harvest. So unfortunately, like I can't toss the recipes with fresh things from the garden and the yard yet, but I can buy those things at the grocery store now. So I think I'm going to do that and start experimenting with some cocktails because I like a good Manhattan, or is that the drink I'm thinking of? Maybe not. I can't even remember. There is one like mixed drink that I really like. My dad makes it really well, and it has bourbon in it. That's all I can tell
Oh,
you. Bourbon and like lime and bitters.
I have
Is
no
that a
idea.
Manhattan?
I just know I like martinis.
No, it's an old fashioned. That's what it is. It's an old fashioned. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever had an old fashioned. So
It's pretty good. It's very bourbony.
I do like bourbon.
So I usually only drink
Yes,
one.
yes, I like a good bourbon, but I usually drink it just like on the rocks, like I'm a hardcore something or another, which I usually end up paying for later.
Or like you're in Mad Men.
Yeah, yeah, which I've never actually watched like a full season of that, but I've heard decent things
Oh.
about it, so maybe I'll have to put it on my watch list.
Yeah, I would put that on your watch list. I watched every episode of that show.
Mm.
I really enjoyed it for some reason. It's been a long time. Clearly, I guess that was back when I watched TV. Which, by the way, I guess we can enter this. Oh, let's enter Corrections Corner because we talked about
Oh,
having one
yeah,
of
that's
those.
right.
Because, sometimes we misspeak, and I really dislike it when I do that, and I usually just stress about it, and then I forget to bring it up in the next one. But now we're going to start a little corner. It's called Corrections Corner. And one episode, I said that I don't watch TV, and I realized that I do. Sometimes we eat dinner and we watch Jeopardy.
I
So
love
there we go.
Jeopardy so much. Oh my gosh.
I do too. It's so much fun.
And some of the people that, like, some of the contestants are just too entertaining to watch. Just such characters. And it makes me realize, like, how much I know and how little I know all at the same time.
I was going to say, I feel like quite the badass whenever I can answer at least just like one or two
Oh,
questions right.
yeah.
Because recalling trivia is just not my thing. So whenever I can answer one of them, I'm like, ooh, ooh, I know something.
See, and I really like Wheel of Fortune too because I'm good at puzzles.
Yep. Wheel of Fortune is also on our list. Yeah.
Yes. Because it usually is like Wheel of Fortune and then it's Jeopardy. Like they're back to back. So,
Oh, okay. So that's how they are. See, Jared always puts them on using his phone.
oh,
We don't have cable, so we have PlayStation View is what we use. And we didn't even get that until this year. And it's only because we couldn't take the kids to a bar to go watch an Ohio State football game, because that's what we used to do in Phoenix. There was a bar that served breakfast and had the Ohio State games on at 9:30 in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, because that was what time the games came on for us sometimes, or maybe it was
that makes
10.
sense.
I can't remember, but it was always pretty early in the morning for us because of the time change. And so we were like, yeah, we can bring our kids to the bar and watch football at 9 o'clock in the morning and have breakfast. But now that we're here and we're like 30 minutes from the nearest sports bar that's going to have the Ohio State game, and a football game is like 4 hours long, we're like, no, we are not driving 30 minutes to sit in a bar for 4 hours with our kids to watch the game
Yeah.
and then drive home. First of all, that would cost us like $70 a week to feed everybody and pay for everything that we eat and drink during the game. But like, that's a long time to be out of the house every Saturday.
Right.
It's fall time. Like, there's lots of stuff to do around here. We can't do that. So yeah, so we gave in and got PlayStation View. But otherwise, we didn't have cable for like a decade.
Oh, wow.
It's been a long time. I mean, we still watch TV, but we used like YouTube, and Hulu used to be free. Like, you used to be able to get stuff on Hulu for free, and then it became a paid service, kind of like
Yeah.
Netflix. Or we've always had Netflix, or we've always at least had somebody's Netflix password. Now we have our own Netflix account because we're adults.
Yay, adulting. Well, I guess I will take my turn in the corrections quarter. I noticed last week in my strawberry lavender cider Buzz State that I said that the call ducklings were going to be due May 15th, and they are actually going to be due May 5th, so like next weekend. So next time we record, I'll be able to hopefully say we have ducklings, and then the Muscovies will hatch around the 15th. So that is my correction. But I listened to that and I was like, dang it, I sound like such an idiot. And there's no way to fix that. But we don't really want to cut it because that won't make sense. Like, ugh.
Yeah, I would have had to cut like the whole conversation because I had specifically asked you when they were hatching. Because like I go through and I clean up the recordings so that we don't sound like idiots and like we don't know what we're doing or saying.
Thank you.
But for the most part, we're getting like, I mean, this is our 11th episode now. We're getting into a nice little like podcasting groove. It doesn't take nearly as long to clean up, and we definitely have a lot less like awkward pauses and way less ums. So I'm glad that I did that like song of the ums when I did, because last week I couldn't have made one of those because I think I only cut like a handful because we're pretty decent. So
Yeah,
hey, we're figuring this podcasting thing out.
go us. Only took us 11 episodes, which really isn't that bad. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that is not bad at all.
That's very true. Good point. But, speaking of eggs, I've got eggs in the incubator now.
Ooh.
And today is day 6 of them. I don't know. We'll see if they hatch. I have no idea. I tried to candle them, but I couldn't see anything through the shell. Like, it's like a light brown shells. They're not super dark brown shells, but they're like light brown shells. And when I put the flashlight up against them and like wrap my hand around them so that I can like see, all I see is like spots because the
Oh,
shell, like, like the modeling of the shell, I don't know. I can't see anything. So I'm gonna give them another day or two. And then try to check them again and see if I can like see the shadow of the embryo up against one side of the egg or the other.
yeah.
Or maybe I'll buy like a real candler because maybe it's just my flashlight and hand thing not working properly. But
It could be that, or like we honestly don't see very much for chicken eggs until about day 7. Day 10 is usually really good because you can really start seeing some movement in there, which is really cool. But we have like
oh,
a flashlight, and like I don't know what the thing is, but my husband found like this little cone thing that he puts over the flashlight and then sits the eggs on top of like the pointy end of the cone so it like kind of focuses the light. And then sometimes I just use like my iPhone light, the flashlight, if I turn that on and set the egg like right on it. Sometimes that works a little better.
oh,
Yeah, day 7 is usually when the party really gets started. So hopefully between like tomorrow and Wednesday, you can really start seeing some stuff.
That'll be exciting. Yeah, because I'm like, I don't want to tell Aurora that none of our eggs are viable.
That would be so bad. Like your shady parking lot egg dealer ripped you off.
I mean, I don't know how much eggs usually cost. I paid $20 for the
That's
nine
not
fertile
bad.
eggs. Yeah, I mean, and I didn't have to have them shipped. I was like, yeah, this is the way to go, like for our first hatch, because I seriously have no idea what I'm doing. I'm having a tough time controlling the temperature and the humidity. The humidity was way too high at first. I waited for forever for it to go down. It didn't. I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna put them in, because like once they're warm, they're warm. Like, what could this possibly do? I look online, sure enough, like if the humidity is too high for too long, then enough of the air sac doesn't grow. And then when the chick needs to like put their beak up and start to breathe, they'll drown because their air sac isn't big enough. So I was like,
Ah!
like put a clean washcloth in there, soaked up all of the water from it, and then,
Oh,
stuck it back in. And it got really dry for a little bit, and I left it dry for like a day and a half, like pretty dry, so that it could start to dry out the air sac a little
hmm.
more. And then now the humidity is right. So yeah, that was a little like fun hack that I figured out. Because I'm like, this thing's full of eggs now. How do I get the water out of this? I pulled the eggs out and then I stuck a washcloth down in the bottom and sucked it all out, and that
That's
worked.
kind of
A clean
brilliant.
one, because you don't want to get bacteria in there. But
Right.
yeah,
No, that's awesome. I wouldn't have thought of that.
and my temperature has been fluctuating between like 99 and like 100.5. I'm like, all right, that's probably
Yeah.
good enough. I mean, hopefully. I
Yeah.
don't know. We'll see. If it's been running a little low, then I know it'll take them longer to develop, but it won't kill them. But if the temperature gets over like 101 or 102, I know that that can be fatal to the embryo. So I've mostly been trying to make sure that doesn't go too
Right.
high.
It's like it's a dance. Hatching eggs is like a dance.
It is. Well, and it's funny, like I imagine this time I could, succeed really awesome and all of them could hatch. And then the next one, like none of them hatch. And I'll never really know why because it's like this delicate, like natural process that like mother hens just know how to do instinctively. And we're just like fumbling
Right.
around, like rolling the eggs random directions and trying not to get them dirty.
Trying to like science the shit out of it, and sometimes it just doesn't work.
Hmm. Although that whole bacteria thing, I've been trying to figure out like how serious that really is. Because like, I mean, my chicken coop's not disgusting, but like, I wouldn't eat a meal in
Right.
there.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, those eggs are like swimming in bacteria if they're being hatched inside of my
Oh
coop.
yeah.
Like, there's just no way around that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think sometimes certain people, and it might just be certain personalities, just are more stringent about that sort of thing than others are, or necessarily that how you need to be. Like, whatever works for you. Like, I'm a big believer in this farm stuff. As long as it's working for you and it's ethical, do it. But like,
Right? Yeah.
yeah, the whole bacteria thing, yeah. I think as long as it's not absolutely disgusting, either in your incubator or your chicken coop, you're probably fine. I mean, ours is pretty gross right now too because I mean chickens poop, but I actually have Larry and Mo are trying to hatch together, it looks like. I don't know. Larry's a girl, by the way. She's been sitting on 2 duck eggs, and Mo is also kind of broody, but not as committed. But I went in there today and they're both in the same nesting box. So apparently they're in it together for the last week, which is kind of cute. But yeah. So, but it's interesting because Larry's gotten up quite a few times for longer than I thought appropriate, but the two underneath her seem to be doing really well. So it'll be interesting to see how her hatch rate is compared to mine in the incubator with the controlled, humidity and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, right. She's gonna blow you away because she's just better at it than we are.
Oh, absolutely.
That's just the way that it goes. But I cannot wait to see pictures and video of the hen raising the ducks. You
Oh,
have to get on
no.
video the first time the ducks go in the water in front of mama hen, I've heard that they have like a total like conniption fit. I haven't
Yeah.
seen this myself, but yeah, I've heard that, mama hens, they're not very picky. They'll sit on and brood anything. Like, we've all seen the photos of them like on top of kittens and like
Oh,
puppies
yeah.
and pigeons and like, I mean, oh my gosh, people will put anything under a mother hen and mother hen is like all over it. But I've heard that with ducks, when, baby ducks do what they do and they get in the water and splash around, that they just like freak out. Because, baby chicks, they do not do well in
Oh,
water,
right.
like
Yeah.
whatsoever. Like when you have a water dish inside a brooder with brand new chicks, you gotta like fill it with pebbles so that they won't fall in there and drown.
Yeah.
I was wondering like how serious can that possibly be? And it turns out that it's like extremely serious.
Yeah.
Like you just can't do it. I use a little nipple water now with chicks instead because I find that it's cleaner. They don't throw as much poop and food and
Oh,
shavings in
yeah.
it, so I don't have to clean it as often. So I found like a 16-ounce soda bottle with one of the chicken nipples on it. That does the trick for my brooder. And one nipple was enough for 10 baby chicks. They did just fine with that.
Yeah, we have I believe they're called hen hydrators and they're like couple
Oh yeah.
gallons and they got like four nipples on them. We have like, let me just think, one, two, three, four of those in the coop between all the little setups. And then like the ducks have one on the inside of their duck house. But I haven't bought another one yet. So we have just like the water dish that's like a gallon and it's got the thing on it. And then I cleaned out everything yesterday for the chicks that are in my bathroom and put that thing back in there. And then like 10 minutes later, like all the water was dried up because there were shavings all over the place. Oh, you guys are a-holes. You're lucky you're cute. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll never forget that. When I got my chicks, like I was super excited. My chicks were my very first farm animal. And I was like, I'm gonna do this. This is gonna be amazing. This is like the greatest thing ever. And a week into it, I was like, oh my God, these chicks are disgusting. I cannot keep them clean. I cannot figure out how to keep them from trying to fall out of the
Aw.
box. Like, this is super hard. Raising baby animals, so far, I've only raised two different ones now. I've got the goats, and the chickens. Maybe I'm just not patient enough for them. I haven't figured out what it is, but I don't care for the baby phase as much as I think most people do. I mean, they're adorable. I love playing with them. I love snuggling with them, but the taking care of them part is really, really hard. It's almost like human babies. I mean, it's not nearly as long as human babies are, but yeah, like you got to be like on call and like on watch and like keeping an eye on them. I mean, at least for a short period of time because they're so fragile and trying to kill themselves in every possible way. Every single time I turn around, like mentally exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you think chicks are gross, then you really shouldn't deal with ducklings because
I've
they're
heard that.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, they're pretty gross. They're really freaking cute, but I would suggest getting them when it's warm enough to keep them in a barn or in a garage with a heat lamp or something because it's just so much easier to keep them outside because you'll have to change the shavings daily if they're inside in a smaller brooder. We had an inflatable like kiddie pool that we just put shavings in and it was pretty decent size for three ducks at the time. The only thing was when they got a little older, they started growing their nails and it like popped the sides of the pool.
Oh
um,
no.
but by then, like we just put like a dog baby gate thing within the duck house so they could get to know each other and see each other, but they couldn't get to each other. So it kind of worked out. But I'll have to get another baby duck pool soon.
And just pick up like one of those plastic like hard side ones from the Dollar General. Or actually Walmart's cheaper if you
Yeah.
have a Walmart and you go to Walmart. I buy everything from Dollar General because I'm too lazy to drive into town and everything is super expensive at Dollar General. That is not really a dollar store. They tricked me.
Liars. Liars.
I always brood all of my animals outside though. I haven't brooded any of them in the house. I did the baby chicks inside the laundry room for the first week. because I was a little unsure like of what I was doing and I was really worried about them, but I moved them into the garage pretty quick. But it was also June. It was June 15th when they arrived. So I
Oh,
think this set of chicks I'm gonna have to brood inside for just a little longer. But then they'll be able to move out into the garage as long as temperatures are holding steady. Apparently, I just don't do well with messy things inside the house. Maybe I wasn't really cut out for this farm thing. But outside, I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me whatsoever when
yeah.
there's messes and grossness outside. Like, I walk into the chicken coop and it's disgusting. I'm like, oh, time to clean it. And I'm just like, throw on my gloves and pick up my shovel and I get going on it. Like, no gagging, no getting upset about it. But when it's in the house, I guess I just can't deal. Maybe it's just because my house is like my refuge, like the inside
Yeah,
of my house.
that makes
I don't know.
sense.
It's like where I hide from all the chaos. So when there's chaos everywhere, I just like can't deal. I'm like, nope, the house has to be quiet. It has to be clean.
Yeah, so I ended up cleaning my whole bathroom today, like super deep clean, like go through my drawers and stuff, because like certain parts of the bathroom were so dusty from just brooding chicks in there, because you just don't realize, like, with them running around so much, how much dust they kick up. And I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm over having chicks in my bathroom. So after this call duck house is done, my husband's gonna actually start building brooders within our barn.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So they'll be like brooder slash like breeding hutches type deal. So when we want to breed the Savart Honers, we have to like separate them from everybody. So because like all the roosters are trying to go after them, so we gotta like quarantine them for a couple of weeks, and then we can put the rooster in there, and they can do their thing to make pretty babies. I'm going to be excited when I don't have chickens in my house. So I understand that. I mean, we have Hamlet in the house, but he at least uses the litter box and he's pretty clean.
Yeah, I was gonna say no, he seems pretty clean and he looks like a pretty good couch buddy. I would feel like Hamlet was like another dog.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's sort of like how he's acting. And I kind of thought that I would feel that way about the goats too, but nah, my goats are pretty gross also. Like they keep peeing in their water bowl. I'm like, would you guys stop it? Like you guys drink out of this and you have this huge barn stall to run around in and pee all over the place and you pee inside the damn dish that your water is in. Stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
Maybe they like that it makes a noise or something when they pee into water.
Goats are weird like that. You're probably totally right. That's got to be exactly what it is. But I was just thinking back to the chicks and the dust thing. When we had chicks in the garage, our car was covered in a layer of
Oh,
dust.
yeah.
Like the entire how long did I keep them out there? I want to say 10 weeks was how long I kept them in the garage, maybe 11. I got to move mine out into the coop when they were kind of young because it was just them. So there weren't any big chickens to contend with. So like once they were fully feathered and they couldn't fit through any of the little slats, like in the coop, or anything else, I moved them out into the coop and I went out there and made sure everybody went in every night, taught everybody how to go out every morning. And it was pretty easy. Although the first 4 days of them being out there, I had to pick them up one by one and shove them through the door to go back and roost. And it turns out if I had just been a little more patient and waited like 10 more minutes, they would have gotten on their own.
Yeah, they don't pick up on that necessarily the fastest. We had to do the same thing when we switched from one coop to another, like across the yard. The the older hens, they were still going to the other one even though we took all the roosts out because that's the duck house now. Yeah, so we had a
Yeah.
couple nights of picking them up and carrying them and leaving them closed in there for a couple days. Yeah, pretty special.
Yeah, one of the methods for coop training, they recommend just keeping them in the coop like all hours of the day and closing the doors and whatnot. But when most people have baby chicks that are ready to go in to their coop full time, it's going to be summertime.
Yep.
And depending on where you're at in the country, it's going to be too hot to do that. Like I think that the recommendation is anything over 70, but honestly, I would say anything over 60. I wouldn't lock them in there all day because if you walk into our coop when it's 60 degrees outside and sunny, it's a good 10 degrees
Hmm.
warmer. So when it's 70 and sunny, it's got to at least be 15 degrees warmer. And I feel like that goes up exponentially depending on how hot it is. Like, I don't know. I would be afraid of them overheating. So I just went out there and, shuttled them all in. I figured out though, if I threw Scratch on the ground, I could have just attracted them in. So I don't know why I picked them up one by one. I must have been drinking or something when I made that decision.
It's the only logical explanation.
It's got to be either that, or I mean, the chickens were my first animal, so it's just super naive. I'm sure that 6 months from now, I'm gonna look at some of the things I did with the goats, and I'm just gonna like smack myself on the forehead and be like, "What on earth was I thinking? Like, why did I think that that was a good idea? There's such a better way to do it."
Always a learning experience.
Right. Which reminds me, my husband got to work on the goat shed for a little bit today, so it has sides.
Ooh.
So we're getting closer. We still have 3 fence sides that we need to build. We're so far behind on this goat thing. I have a feeling that like the next 6 episodes of this podcast is just going to be me lamenting about how far behind I am on like just about everything.
Yeah, I feel you there. We went to TSC and Lowe's yesterday. And when we were at Lowe's, I was just, and TSC, really, I was just like staring at all like the gardening stuff. And I'm just like, ugh, I want to buy everything, but I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. I can't. And then I was at Walmart today too and saw how much cheaper things were. And I was like, okay, now I feel like I at least have a plan of what I want to get and where. So, like in a couple weeks, I can actually pull the trigger and do it. Because, yeah, I know it's been like too cold. Like this weather has not been cooperating with my little garden endeavors at all. But we'll get there. So you can complain about how behind you are with the goat shed and stuff, and I can complain about how I need to do garden things, and I just am not there yet.
You know what's so terrible? I haven't done garden things either. My garden is still buried in dirt mounds from the driveway
Hmm.
from this last winter because we had the driveway regraded. We just had them dump the dirt in there because we were like, oh, we can like use it to fill in the bottoms of the beds. We built a pollinator garden and oh, I actually got 2 of those boxes filled today. My neighbor has like this big, I don't know what to call it. It was bricks and like a big giant circle, and it was filled with like yarrow and grape. I'm gonna pronounce this wrong. Grape
Hmm.
hyacinths. Is that the
I
right
don't know,
word?
but
They're
it sounds
like
fancy.
they're like the cute little flowers, and they kind of look like little tiny like grapes on the top, but they're really just little tiny
Hmm.
purple buds. They're so pretty. But yarrow, grape hyacinth, and garlic chives. And she's like, I'm just gonna have my husband take the tractor and dump this into the woods. So if you want anything out of it, just let me know and you can come have it. And I was like,
Huh?
I am going to come in there and I'm going to dig out like almost everything, and I'll just kind of put them around everywhere and like see if they take root, because like if they die they die, like they were going to get stuck into the woods anyways. But there's also a bunch of dirt in that bed, and she didn't fill it with bot soil. I think it's our pretty heavy clay soil, but it's been amended over the years by the mulch that she keeps putting on it. So the soil is in really decent shape. So I went over there and I dug out a few loads of that today and filled some of the beds, some of the pollinator beds. So I want to say after May 1st, I'll be able to start planting the flowers in there. I think our last frost date is technically really May 15th, but if I do some of the like more hardy wildflowers, they're not gonna germinate until then anyway, so I think I'm gonna be good. And I filled one of the beds with the yarrow that I pulled out. It looked pretty wilty after like cutting it out with my hori hori knife, but we'll see if it sticks. I hope it does because I really like yarrow. It has a lot of uses, and the chickens love it.
Yeah, I feel like I just need to pick up a chicken or four, bring them out to my garden beds and be like, here, you do it. Turn everything over.
They totally will. I have a book. It's called Gardening with Chickens. I haven't read it yet. My original plan with the reading group, with the book club, was that I was going to pre-read the books so that I could make sure that I like only picked winners
Oh.
and I would already have like all the questions and stuff like put together. And then I came to realize that like I just don't have that kind of time. Like, not every book we read is going to be a winner. Like, I have no idea what half of these books hold that I've got in my stack. I'm like, this is going to be way more fun if I'm like reading it with everybody else and we're all reacting to it at the same time. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to read them whenever I get it on the schedule. So I don't have Gardening with Chickens on the schedule yet, but it's on my stack and I'll get to read it eventually. Because, yeah, apparently the author is Lisa Steele. She's the same one that did Fresh Legs Daily. She lets her chickens, like, into the garden to like do all the tilling. And and they poop in it and
Oh.
whatnot. And one of the guys that came here and did some work for us, he told us that he has one of those movable coops and he has two garden beds that he rotates it between. So for like the whole year, this movable coop with the run will be over one garden bed, like a big giant one, like in the ground. And then he'll have his garden in the other one that year, and then he switches him. So in the fall, he'll bring them over to the other one. So they do all the cleanup out of the garden bed that's no longer being used. The one that they were just on has all been tilled up and fertilized fully and then is ready to be planted in the spring. I was like, that's such a good idea.
I know. That's well thought out.
Right? And I'm like, man, I gotta like talk to more people locally to like find out what the locals are doing because I love it. And I've just been letting my chickens roam free now when I'm out there. They had a run-in with the dogs today, but everybody
Oh,
survived. The
well,
dogs
that's
looked
good.
just as terrified as the chickens, though, so I'm not really sure what exactly was going on. But I was on the utility vehicle and I saw the dogs come around the corner, and all the chickens had like followed me for some reason, like onto the back porch. I was like, "Oh, chickens, you guys are not gonna like this." And the dogs came around the corner and they were like, and then they started like running at and barking. And then when the chickens, like did their like flapping thing and like freaking out and running, the dogs all like ran and like with their tails between their legs, like all scared too. And I was like, "Oh, come on."
They're just a bunch of chickens.
I guess I just don't have to worry about them attacking them. But the chickens learned a valuable lesson about where the dogs are capable of going. So we'll see if that
And
one
how to not
sticks.
follow you.
And to not follow me. But I did notice something interesting since I've been letting them out. They do follow me more often and they're around me and happier like being on me and with me than they were like when they were just stuck in their
Aw.
coop. I don't know how to describe that. And they know when it's time to go back to the coop. I always give them a treat when I'm putting them back in. But when I start walking towards their coop, they all like line up and follow me. And I open the door and they all walk in there voluntarily now. Like before, I was trying to keep them from like going outside, I'd have to like chase after them each individually and like, like shove them through the door really quick, like and lock it and then go like catch the other one that had escaped. But now like I can just let everybody out and everybody just goes back in peacefully. Like I can send Orion, my 12-year-old, out to put the chickens away now because they like look around. They're like, oh, yep, no one's out here to hang out with. I guess it's time to go back. And just like go hop in. Like, yeah, give me some worms. That makes me happy. All right, thanks. Like, I got a pretty decent chicken selfie Sunday today,
You
and
did. I
they were
saw
out free
that.
ranging when I did that. Yeah, like I pulled her up on my knee, and she didn't even like try to flap or fly away or
Aw.
run away. Like, I took a couple of them because it was in the sun, and after like a couple minutes, she kind of looked at me and she was like, "All right, it's been long enough." And then she jumped up and left, and I was like, "Yeah, I guess it has been long enough. One of those will do."
I know, it's so funny. Like, I should really record myself trying to take a chicken selfie because, of course, I post the best one, but it takes like 20 bad ones to get a good one with a chicken because they're not looking at the camera or they start getting annoyed and they like start trying to fly away. So, like, it's so funny because people are like, "Oh my gosh, this is so hard. How do you do it?" It's like, well, yeah, it's hard. I just take a lot. I have to set that timer for 3 seconds because like my little button on the side isn't working because of my phone case. Like the little button broke off. So like now
Oh,
I have to use the
bummer.
3 second timer, which is even more
That's
like,
even harder.
yeah, because and I took one with Snape this weekend because he's being a little poo head. And so he's been getting carried a lot the past couple days. But today he decided it would be cute to just like peck at the back of my leg a little bit. But I always wear pants and boots when I'm around the chickens just because I don't trust them. Like, you just never know. They might get excited when they see treats and just jump up anyways, whether they're being aggressive or not. So just by rule of thumb, I wear pants around them, and he pecked the back of my leg. So he got carried around some more today. But he's huge already. Like, I cannot believe for like 18, 19 weeks, he's like, he's a dinosaur. But like, once you got a hold of him and you're holding him, he's totally chill. I think maybe he just wants attention. I don't know.
Maybe he just needs to be with my smaller
There you
flock.
go. Yeah, he might like that. I think in his little group too, I know there's at least two other roosters. So I wonder if that upsets him. But I don't really know who is who yet because they all kind of look alike. I have some of those leg band things. Like when one of them crows, I should just pick them up and put one on them so I know which ones I need to get rid of.
Oh, yeah, I have a package of those too. I got them in one of my Honey and Rue boxes, like one of my first Honey and Rue boxes. And at first I saw them and I was like, oh, I'm never going to use these. Because at the time I was like, I'm never hatching chicks and I'm never raising chicks again. Like my first set stressed me out enough. I'm like, broody hen is the only way to raise chicks. I don't know why I thought that putting them in a brooder was a good idea. But here I am, 6 or 8 months later,
Yeah.
hatching chicks, and I'm gonna raise chicks again. But Aurora's a little older, and she can be a little helpful. Like, I mean, the kids go and feed the goats now all by themselves, so
Aw.
I think this year is gonna be a little easier.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be good.
So now seems like a good time to talk about our homework.
Oh, yeah. Our homework.
Yeah, we assigned homework last
We
week.
did.
Did you rewatch it, or are you just gonna go off your memory from the first
I
time?
did not rewatch it, so I mean, I'm almost done with my wine, so we're gonna see how good I am. I mean, I did a little reading about it, but I didn't rewatch it. So
Hmm.
I'm curious to know what you thought, though.
So I watched it and I fell asleep 30 minutes into it. So I had to rewatch the last 30 minutes this afternoon after I was done doing some work outside and before we recorded. And I can totally see why I fell asleep at the part that I did because I fell asleep right after they talked about arresting that German
Oh,
woman for being involved. Oh, wait, before I go any further, you know what? No, this is a documentary. There's no such thing as spoiler alerts with a documentary because, like, they're real life things. It's not like we're talking about, like, a really cool, like, fictional show. If you don't know what we're talking about, you'll want to listen to episode number 10 and hear how we got on the subject of it and why we assigned homework. But basically, the homework is the first episode of Rotten. It's called Bees, Guns, and Lawyers. And Rotten is a documentary series that is on Netflix. Did I capture that all right?
yes.
Yeah. So you can still listen
Yes.
to this if you
And
want.
it's not like we're giving away the end of Avengers, Civil War, or Infinity War, or whatever the hell it's called. And I
I haven't
haven't
seen
seen
it
it
yet either.
yet. And I swear to God, if anybody spoils it on the internet, I will cut them. So it is not that level of spoiler alert. So if you got your panties in a knot, unknot them
Yeah.
because we told you about this a week ago.
Yeah, and I mean, you can still listen to this and then you can watch it like with our thoughts in your head, or you can pause it right now, come back, and then listen to this portion after, you've gotten to watch it and formulate your own
Yeah.
opinion. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't find it to be all that really controversial because I mean, the title, I was a little concerned about it. I mean, it's called Bees, Guns, and Lawyers, and I was like, dude, like, did we just like assign something that's going to get a bunch of people fighting on the internet, like with each other as homework? Because, like, I mean, nobody likes lawyers. Everybody has an opinion about guns. And most people do, well, I don't want to say most people, lots of people don't agree with each other on it. So I was like, we're not going to get into this on the podcast because we're about finding what you have in common with people, not what you don't have in common with people. So I was like, crap, was this such a good idea? But no, it did not talk about guns at all. The only reason I can think of that they put that in the title was because of those bees that got stolen at the end. So there was like
Yes.
yeah, so there was like crime involved with it. I found the documentary to be unnecessarily dramatic for the most part.
With the whole like, and we went out there to look for our bees and they were gone. And then it's like panning out an empty field and the guy by himself looking all sad and shit. Like, yeah, that was a little dramatic. But it was pretty screwed up that all of those bees.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the things in the documentary that are super screwed up. Like number one, I can't believe people are
Ugh,
adulterating honey.
yes.
I say that, but like I mean, I can totally understand why people are. Honey is expensive because of the way that it's produced. I mean, it takes millions of bees to make an entire jar of honey.
Yeah.
Like that's why honey costs so much money. And it has to be harvested like a certain way. Bees have to be kept alive during seasons where they can't collect pollen. Like it's definitely like a commodity food, but it's also going through like this renaissance, for lack of a better
Yes.
word, because everybody's looking for more natural products, and healthier products. And honey is on the same level as maple syrup as like, a natural,
Right.
healthy
Yeah.
sweetener. So I can see why everybody wants a little piece of that market. So yeah, there's a really easy way around all of this problem with honey though. Like the documentary talked about how, well, it's more in demand now because processed products are wanting to use honey instead of sugar to sweeten them, because if they can put honey on the label, more people are willing to buy it because they think that it's a healthier product. Well, I don't buy a whole lot of processed things or things that come in packages. If you don't want to end up with some of that adulterated honey, I would say don't buy products that are made with
Right.
honey that are processed products. They're probably not putting the best ingredients in them anyways, to begin with. And also, I don't ever buy honey at the store. I buy all of my honey at like the local farmers market or at a local shop in town. And all of the
Oh,
honey that I buy is raised by bees like in my town or like at least in my county. And I bet for most people, there's going to be a place like that that has that. And I don't find it to be much more expensive than it is at the grocery store. Like I want to say I pay about $7 for like one of the like
the bottle that's like a bear.
I want to say it's like a 10 or a 12-ounce squeeze bottle.
Oh, see, we get the bear ones, and like the one I have right now from a local like cider mill that also does honey. It was like 7.25,
And that
and it's
was
shaped
a
like a bear.
reasonable price for
Yeah,
honey.
it's
And
not
you know
bad.
that that's local
Oh
because you
yeah.
picked it up at the place where they get it.
Yeah. Okay, so my husband's like, we're not getting bees, blah, 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 before we watch this. And then I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh, apparently you can get like tax breaks if you have honeybees on your property.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like you have to look it up, obviously, for your state and your county and blah, blah, blah. But depending on like how many and how you do it, you can definitely get tax breaks, which is like property tax breaks, which is crazy. But there are all these like rules if you're going to sell it. Like if you make less than $15,000 a year off of honey, you can get away with this stuff. But if you make over $15,000 a year in honey, you have to do these things, which is just seems obnoxious. And like reading through all the rules did not make me want to do anything with bees and honey. Like it makes you not like they regulate the shit out of it to the point where you just don't want to do anything with it, which is super sad. I mean, I can understand because it is a food product and you don't want to poison people. But like reading through it, I was so confused. I was like, I would need like a beekeeping mentor. Otherwise, I feel like I would lose my mind. But I feel like it would be kind of fun just to get like one, like start very small and just do enough just for ourselves and to see if we liked it before we, bought a bunch of them and had bees all over the place.
If we ever had bees here, it would only be like for honey for ourselves and like maybe our families and, like friends if we happen to produce enough. But that's also my philosophy for like almost our entire farm. And one of the reasons why beekeeping like for profit is so difficult. I mean, we saw it in the documentary. All of the honey has to be tested and verified by independent labs to prove where the pollen came from and to prove that the honey wasn't adulterated with any type of extra syrup or fillers, to prove that your bees didn't have antibiotics in their systems when the honey was created, because, adding more antibiotics into our food system is just going to cause more health issues down the road. Like the the documentary did open my eyes to why commercial beekeeping is just extremely difficult. And if we have any listeners that are commercial beekeepers, like I'd love to hear like some feedback from you on what you thought of it. We'll put a thread up on our Instagram page for, people to comment and sort of discuss if they want to. But there was one thing that I wanted to say about it, bringing honeybees in, like just to pollinate almond trees in California. Like that part was just totally insane to me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, first of all, the documentary claimed that honeybees are the only species that can pollinate almond trees, and that's not true. You can debunk that right away with a simple Google search. Like the very first thing says that the honeybees do pollinate almond trees just fine, but natural pollinators in the area will also pollinate them. I think the thing that they're running into in California is that they have these fields that have so many almond trees in them. They've created like a monoculture of almond trees in these areas,
Uh,
and they're so deep in, the bees can't get to them or don't need to get to them to pollinate because they're getting nectar and pollinating in the early parts of the orchard and they're not needing to go deep enough. And same with like the other native species of bugs because honeybees aren't the only pollinator out there. There's lots of pollinators, which is why like, I'm making a pollinator garden and it's for butterflies and all of the native bees. I probably won't have any honeybees in it because I don't think we have any honeybee hives near us and we don't have any here at our house. But yeah, I like to just invite all of the pollinators to do their thing. Honeybees aren't the only ones that you need for pollination. But yeah, I'm like thinking of the cost that goes into taking bees like across the country to do that. And that just like
ugh.
that totally blows my mind. It's just because of the way that those farms are set up. It's not a very sustainable farming practice, if you ask me. I'm not exactly an expert in sustainable farming. I never really got the almonds milk thing. I'm not lactose intolerant though, and I also buy our milk from a place where I know that the cows are treated and milked humanely and are raised like in natural and organic circumstances. So I never worried about buying cow's milk either because I don't have to buy my cow's milk from the grocery store because I'm in a place where I can. And when I did live in a place where I had to buy my cow's milk from the grocery store, I picked dairies that were local to Phoenix. And while they may not have been necessarily organic, those places like would let you tour their farms and whatnot and like show you their farming practices so that you could still buy the milk and feel good about it. And it didn't exactly cost you an arm and a leg. It was a little more expensive than like the Great Value brand of milk, but yeah, that was what I chose to do. Almonds milk, like as a thing, they're always filling it with like extra sugar and stuff, anyways, like to make it palatable. And they're adding fillers to it to keep it so that it doesn't separate. Because if you've ever made almonds milk at home, you'll know that the layers separate in them and you have to shake it every time before you use it. But the grocery store almond milk, you don't have to do that. So, like, I don't get the hubbub of almonds and almond milk.
Yeah, I enjoyed almond milk for some time just because I did have some vegetarian and vegan friends that were just crazy about it. And I would try to do the unsweetened, which would work in like smoothies and stuff. It was fine then. But yeah, some of the like the chocolate almond milk was pretty damn good.
Oh my gosh, it tastes so good. But yeah, like you can't drink that every day as like your milk.
Oh no. And like but here's the thing, I was drinking like the vanilla like crazy. I was like, I'm being so healthy because this is non-dairy and look at the calcium and oh my gosh, this is so great and I'm gonna drink so much of it that I give myself kidney stones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did, like in the hospital. Kidney
I've
stones.
had
Yeah.
kidney stones before. That's the closest thing to childbirth that you can have without having children.
And like people say that, but I haven't pushed anything out of that area of my body, so I didn't know if that was like a fact or not. But since I know you've had children,
Yep.
you confirm it's
Yeah.
pretty dang close.
Oh, yeah. When I had kidney stones for the first time, I hadn't had any kids yet, so I didn't understand what that feeling was. But I remember being at work and I just bent over in excruciating pain. It felt like somebody was stabbing me in the
Yep.
back and dragging the knife all the way around the side to the front,
Yep.
which would, be like the tube that your kidneys run like to your urinary tract. Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like, and it was absolutely excruciating.
Oh
I
yeah.
I thought I
No,
was
and
dying.
I went to an urgent care and they were like, "Oh, you probably just had a UTI." So they gave me like the UTI medicine that like numbs your shit so when you go to the bathroom it doesn't hurt. Well, that stuff like tastes awful when you throw it up because you're in excruciating pain from kidney stones, not a UTI.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it took them like a week to pass too, and like I am not a fan of Vicodin. Like it makes me sick. So I was like no painkillers for a week. It was exam week during my master's.
Oh.
And I'm like telling my professors, so if I get up in the middle of the exam, I swear to like I am not going to the bathroom to cheat. Like I have kidney stones. Like I'm probably vomiting. Yeah, it's so bad.
That's terrible.
They're the worst. So
Yeah.
yeah, uh, that was a brief detour, but yeah, I thought overall like the it wasn't super controversial. I felt like it was kind of balanced. Like you do get why like people screw around with it, but like when you sit there and you think about it though, you're right. With any processed food, like they're throwing in fillers and stuff, and that's why it's so cheap and mass produced. So it totally makes sense. I don't know that we should be shaming people for doing that because it's being done in more than just honey. It's being done in other food.
Oh, yeah. It's being done in all sorts of foods. Well, and I mean, so our food is a system. Like, it's no secret to anybody that it's a capitalistic system. It is designed to make as much money for the stakeholders as possible. And I order food from the Schwan Man every now and then. Like he comes every 2 weeks. I buy like some pizzas and a couple of things for our freezer because like I don't have
Oh,
time
right.
to make like a meal from scratch every night. And I live so far from a grocery store that I have a really hard time stocking up. So that has been like that's been my compromise. I have a few favorite things that I got from the Schwan Man that don't have like a ton of extra like processed ingredients. I'll put a list of them in the show notes. I won't like, bore everybody with them like over the podcast. And if anybody wants to chat about them, I'm more than happy to. But yeah, I mean, and the thing about our food system too, there are a lot of people that live food insecure. And I think that this whole like small hobby farming and homesteading life, one of the things that attracts so many people to it is the food aspect of it. I mean, that was how I got started in it. But yeah, I thought that this one had a really easy fix though. You just don't buy the inexpensive grocery store honey. If you're going to buy honey, buy
Exactly.
it locally from a shop or from a place that like, does it in your state. And both Sam and I have found that the price doesn't seem to be that much different. So that's one of those like easy fixes
Right.
that was an easy thing to avoid. And you're definitely supporting local beekeepers.
Yeah, and I feel like honestly, honey lasts a really long time. So it's not even like it's something you're necessarily turning around and buying every week, I hope anyways. But if you are buying it every week, definitely try to support your local beekeepers because you'll make them very happy. But yeah, I thought it was overall really good. The thing that
Yeah,
was the craziest thing to me though was like some like dude and his friend were stealing people's bees and had like millions of dollars or something like worth of people's bees just like hanging
that's
out for
insane.
over a period of like 4 years. I'm like, holy crap, you're like the bee mafia. Like, what the hell?
Right? Like I had no idea that that was a thing. But that
No.
was also the thing that was like created by like the California almond thing, because so many people were bringing
Right.
their bees in, to help pollinate the almond trees. Like it's
It's like easy target.
yeah,
Like
like
your
that whole
stuff's
thing.
not being supervised all the
Oh
time
yeah.
because it's on this ginormous almond farm.
Right. So I guess the moral of the story is buy local honey, avoid processed products that have honey in them, and don't take your bees to California to pollinate all of the almonds.
Exactly. Yes, I would agree with that summary.
Okay, that was a good takeaway. I am interested in having bees here eventually. My friend that lives down the road from me, she has a couple of beehives. One of them didn't
Aw.
survive this winter, though. This winter was super bad for us here in Ohio, and one of them didn't survive, but the other one did. And I think she's replaced the other one now. I don't know. I'm watching her place, so I'll go check on the bees the next time I go over there this week, and I'll report back on the state of the bees. But yeah, I always thought having bees would be super neat. I don't like getting stung though.
No. I would have the full like beekeeper outfit, like big time.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah. Although I am finding that I'm a little less sensitive to the stingy things. When I went over to her house today, there was a wasp on her door, and Aurora was losing her shit. She would not walk up to the door because there was one wasp on it. And I was like, dude, like our entire porch is about to be covered in wasps. Like, if you want to hang out outside whatsoever, you're gonna have to just get over the fact that the wasps are there.
Yeah.
I haven't been stung by one yet, though. I mean, it's coming, though. I'll have it eventually. Although I said that about the scorpions all the time, and I can never step foot in Arizona again because I lived there for 14 years and never got stung by a scorpion.
Dang. Is that like a thing that happens a lot to people out there? I guess I'm just ignorant.
Yeah, yeah, you normally get stung. Yeah.
Ugh.
I grew up in the desert. I had never been stung by a scorpion. They had scorpions in Joshua Tree in Yucca Valley, which is the area of California that I grew up in.
Wow.
There you go. Maybe I can never get stung by bees. I have to knock on wood. Please don't let me get stung by bees. I hate them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
You
hate
don't like
them,
being
but
stung.
I don't like the idea of being stung.
That's reasonable.
I don't like being in pain.
Yeah, I don't either. No. Yeah. But I feel like with honeybees, it would be for the greater good. So, you know,
That's true. That's a good point.
and I feel like honeybees, like you really have to be like pissing them off to get them to sting you. Whereas like a wasp, they're just kind of rude in general.
Wasps are rude. Wasps are the chickens of the flying, stinging world.
I would say roosters specifically.
There we go. Roosters.
Yes.
Naughty roosters.
Yes. Rude.
Which is funny. Speaking of roosters, so now that it's tank top season again, I was thinking about this today. I'm not currently wearing this tank top, but I was laughing at myself today about it. When I got our chickens, like one of the first things I did was I went on Fluffy Layers website. Have you ever seen Fluffy
Oh
Layers?
yeah.
I'll yeah, I'll link to them in the show. Everybody that has chickens has seen Fluffy Layers. Everybody knows exactly what it is that I'm talking about. They have this super awesome tank top and it says love on it and it has a
Aw.
chicken for the O. And I was like, oh, I have to have that because I love chickens. I have these adorable baby chicks and I'm a crazy chicken lady now. I have to have this adorable tank top. So I bought it and I wore it to the Paw Paw Festival in Athens, Ohio. And I was walking around shopping and this guy starts busting up laughing. And I'm like, what's so funny? And he's like, your shirt. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what? And he's like,
Uh,
that's a rooster where the O is. So your shirt basically says that you love cock.
oh no.
And I'm like, oh yeah, it does.
Thanks, asshole. Yeah, I see that a lot on people's pictures on Instagram for their non-chicken keeping friends. They're like, nice cock. And it's like, that's a hen, sir. Keep it in your pants. Like,
Yeah.
you're
But
not
no,
funny.
this tank top actually has a rooster on it. And they're still selling it. So like I've got to think that nobody's pointed it out to them and I don't want to be the one that points it out to them. But my husband saw it immediately too, like on
Of
the shirt, and
course.
he's like, "Yeah, that's totally what that says." And I'm like, "Oh my God. I'm still going to wear it.
Obviously.
I don't care."
I mean, you could wear it in a chicken selfie Sunday and people will love it because it's a cute shirt, but you're going to have the people out there.
It is
Yeah, you're going to have
adorable.
people out there that are like,
Yeah.
ugh, come on, guys, rise above, rise above.
But I thought of that today because one of my friends on Instagram, he's the bearded fisherman. I don't know if you follow him
Oh,
also.
yeah, I think I
He
do.
posted a video today of him, one of his roosters is, being a pain in the ass like roosters are this time of year. And he put in the caption that he was the best cockfighter, and Instagram censored it because it said that the video might contain questionable material. And it was funny, like all of the comments, there were like 60 comments on it. People are discussing, trying to figure out why. And I was like, it's because the description says cock.
Yep. Yeah. And then if he hashtagged anything too, like there are masked or banned hashtags, so you can still use the hashtags, but you're not going to show up if
Oh.
I'm like searching Chicken Selfie Sunday, but maybe you throw in there an inappropriate hashtag, I might not see it because it's being banned because of your other hashtags.
Oh.
Same thing with like the page where you can, oh, I should know what this is called. The page, the Discover page, or the page where you can search, like it's not ever going to show up in there if you're
Yeah.
using certain ones. So if you're just curious about why you might not be showing up in that Discover page, you can Google which hashtags are banned. Some of them are pretty obvious as to what would be banned, but other ones you might be surprised.
Right. Well, like I was hesitating to use what was it? Like the fluffy butt
Oh, yeah.
hashtag. I was hesitant to use that because like when you click on it, yeah, I mean like it's a bunch of women in thong bikinis. Like but
Oh,
so
really?
far yeah, I haven't noticed that I've been or what is it? It's Tushy something. Oh my
Oh.
gosh. Why can't I think of it? My brain is the worst sometimes. I haven't even finished my glass of wine. What the heck? Uh
Oh, is it like Hump Day? Hump Day probably is banned.
Hump Day is another one. Oh, is that banned? Oh, I didn't know
It might
that.
be.
I shouldn't use that one then. Yeah, I've just like I go through it, and if any of my hashtags have a like sexual innuendo of any kind now, I just don't use them because I'm afraid of getting shadow banned at this point.
Yeah.
What'll happen is like if you use too many of the questionable hashtags, like Instagram will make it so that you don't show up like in the searches or in the discover or in any of the like recommended links, and then you won't be getting as many people interacting with your stuff. You won't get as many new followers and whatnot. Not that like new followers all the time is necessarily the name of the game, but I mean, it's more fun when
Yeah.
you're interacting with more and new people. So like if you're only being seen by like the people that you currently have, if it's not a ton, it can definitely like suck out some of the fun from Instagram. So I've been trying to be more careful with it.
That's good. Um, so I just searched hashtag Hump Day, and like the top one, it has like six of them, which like half of them are butts. And then in the recent, it says recent posts from hashtag Hump Day are currently hidden because the community has reported some content that may not meet Instagram's community guidelines. But there are 9.9 million posts for hashtag Hump Day, and none of them are showing up because of that. So, yeah.
That's insane. Oh, so Fluffy Butt Friday, if you hashtag Fluffy Butt Friday, it's almost all chickens. Or like there's some adorable dogs and some adorable goats in here. So Fluffy Butt Friday is probably a pretty safe one.
Good. Yeah.
What was that tushy one that I was
I don't
using?
know.
Oh, it's Tushy Tuesday. That's what it
Oh.
was that I was afraid of using. Yeah, don't hashtag Tushy Tuesday. There's 28,000 of them. They're all butts, a couple people's cars. Butts and cars. I mean, I guess if you like butts and cars. But I hashtagged one of my chickens Tushy Tuesday because I was like, why is everybody using Fluffy Butt Friday? I think Tushy Tuesday is way cuter. And then I had like a bunch of these like porn sites
Oh
following
no.
me all of a sudden and like thumbs upping that picture. It was super weird. I was like, what? I'm like, I don't understand. And it was like, oops, I guess I won't use that hashtag anymore. Bev's naive
You're
sometimes.
running around with your cock shirt and your Tushy Tuesday. Yeah, so there's another one too called Towel Tuesday that a previous coworker of mine from the last place I worked at told me about. That one's pretty interesting too, but nobody's reported any complaints about that one apparently because I can see stuff. It's like, gosh, some people really just have no shame on the internet.
Oh
Holy
my goodness.
smokes.
Towel Tuesday?
Yeah, are you looking at it?
Ladies. Hmm.
We'll just leave it at that.
We'll just leave it at that.
And I'm done.
Did we get any farm stories this week?
No, we did not.
No farm stories?
I
Come on, guys.
know.
Send us some farm
No farm
stories.
stories. And I asked too, just for questions. Like, I'm interested if people have questions for us, like farm questions or even non-farm questions, because we don't always just talk about farm stuff. So, I mean, they could ask us questions as long as they're like appropriate and not super duper inappropriate.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at our followers and the kind of interactions that I got on Instagram. I feel pretty comfortable with the type of interaction that I get from just about
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised. But I also tend to just sort of like believe in the good in people. So,
Right.
yeah. But I'll clear this up right now. I was laughing when I saw your like description, like don't ask me anything like inappropriate. I was like, what could somebody possibly ask me? What kind of underwear I wear?
They
And I'm
might.
like, I buy all of my underwear from Duluth, which is an outdoors
You
company.
are like
So there you go.
bougie with your outdoor panties, Bev. Jeez.
I know, right?
I mean,
I basically everything I own is Duluth nowadays. I have like the Duluth work gloves. I have like the Duluth like work belt. I don't buy their jeans because I really like skinny jeans because I'm still trying to pretend like I'm cool. But otherwise, everything else I buy is from
Yeah, we
Duluth.
just had an outlet, Duluth outlet store open like a half hour from us, but I won't go in
Ooh,
there because it's too expensive for me right now, and I'm just afraid that I will
it
love
is.
everything.
I do. I love everything. Like I basically replaced all of my flannel this year. I've only got like 5 or 6 of them, but I mean, still, that's kind of a lot of
Eh,
flannel for one person to own. I don't know. I live on a farm,
no.
so maybe that's really not that much flannel. I was buying like inexpensive flannel from places, and they just don't perform the same. I don't know how else to describe it. Like the Duluth flannels, they have like these panels built in behind the arms, so that you can still like swing an
Oh,
axe or like use a shovel while you have your shirt button closed. Whereas like I have Columbia flannels also. They don't have that in the Columbia flannels. But Columbia is like made for like hiking and rock climbing and stuff. But still
right.
like ladies got to use their arms while they do those things. And they don't have like the cool panels like the Duluth does. Like Duluth clothes is one of those things like you buy it and it's in your closet for the next 10 years. So I'm trying to be really good about not buying clothes that I can't see myself wearing for the next 10 years. And everything else I'm getting rid of on Poshmark. I've been working on that for like a year and a half now. Yeah.
There you go.
I don't need fancy clothes though. I live on a farm. Although when I went to the winery with my friends, I felt a little underdressed. I was wearing Toms with mud on them and jeans and a Columbia like zip up hoodie. Everyone else was all
Sounds
fancy.
like that is how I would roll. Yeah. Oh, so okay, I don't know if you saw this over the weekend on Instagram, but a bunch of my Instagram friends were at this thing called Coop Camp in Zionsville, Indiana.
Oh.
Like Grubbly Farms was there, It's Poultry in Motion was there, Porter Farm was there, and I felt incredibly left out because I didn't know it was going to be a thing.
Oh, so I knew that that was a thing because I follow Coop
Oh.
Dreams on Facebook. I don't know why I
Oh.
don't follow them on Instagram. I feel like I totally should be following them on Instagram. Yeah, I'm not following them on Instagram. Well, now I am. I'm going over there. Oh, wait, I am following them. Just kidding. Yeah, Coop Dreams was the one that put it together. Coop Dreams is a TV show. Apparently, I've never seen it. I don't watch enough TV. If you look it up, you might be able to figure out like how to watch some of the TV shows. But yeah, I've been following them on Facebook like for forever, and apparently I follow them on Instagram too. I believe that they were the ones that hosted Coop
They
Camp
did.
because it
Yes.
supports their Coops for Troops thing that they have going on. They give a coop and some chickens to veterans, which I think is
Aw.
super cool. So yeah, I
Yeah.
guess follow Coop Dreams if you aren't yet. They're at Coop Dreams TV on Instagram and they're just Coop Dreams on Facebook.
Well, I may or may not have committed us to going next year when I was talking to Haley from Grubbly Farms. So,
Oh, you did? That sounds so exciting.
well, I was like, this is not fair. I'm not that far away. I mean, it's still probably like 5, 6 hours away, but it's really not that far away.
I was gonna say I think it was only 2 or 3 hours
Yeah.
for me because it's Indiana, so it couldn't have been any further than 3 hours for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like outside of Indianapolis. So
Mm.
it's really not that bad. Indianapolis is a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
it's 3 hours for me.
Yeah.
Yep. And I love Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis is a super cool city.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't spent a ton of time there, but
I've been there a couple times, but yeah. So I was like, you know, I think next year maybe we'll be famous enough with our podcast that we can go and people will actually know who we are. That would be pretty nice.
that would be pretty cool. You know what's funny? I didn't see Coop Camp show up in my Instagram feed as much as I thought I should. But I'm still sort of on my, I don't want to call it like a social media break because clearly like I'm still posting and I'm still doing some stuff. But most of the time when I do that, I'm just going on to like post it and share so that I don't suddenly become invisible to people. I'm not spending a whole ton of time on there like scrolling through like I used to. I've been trying to be a little more intentional with the way that I spend my time, but I'm apparently missing some pretty cool posts from people. Either that or none of my friends were cool enough to go to Coop Camp.
I mean, I'm sure that there were some cool ones there, but like not everybody on my newsfeed. I just felt like in my like I was going through the stories feature and I was like, you're at Coop Camp and you're at Coop Camp and I'm not at Coop Camp and I have really bad FOMO.
Well, and you're big enough, you should have been invited to Coop Camp. See, nobody knows who I am. I know that I'm technically like all over the place because I like do a lot of things, but I'm still relatively obscure,
I mean,
apparently.
not that
I don't know.
obscure. Just saying. You're famous in my brain because I talk to you more than I talk to most people, so.
Right. Oh, which reminds me, I suppose now is a good time to plug this. Yeah, I will be on the Living Homegrown podcast. Either the episode that gets released today, the day that this episode will drop, which is going to be the first Friday in May, or I will be on the one that's on the following Friday. I don't know what the schedule is quite yet, but I talked to Teresa just like a couple weeks ago, and we recorded a podcast episode for the Living Homegrown podcast. So if you don't know what that is, I'll put a link to it in the show notes, and I'll actually link you to the first episode that I did with her. This will be my second interview with Teresa, which is kind of fun. So yeah, look for that either this coming Friday or the Friday after. I won't be able to link it in the show notes because I won't have the link quite yet, but I will link to it in show notes like as soon as I know that it's definitely come out, just so that you can find it easily if you know, don't know. But I'll link to the first interview that I had with her because it was kind of fun. And you can like hear how nervous I was like talking on a microphone. And now like I feel like since I do it every week, it's like no big thing. And in fact, I'm curious to hear what the second interview with her sounds like. Man, like I kind of feel like a semi-pro. Like I know what I'm doing. Although it was a little weird to be podcasting without booze.
Oh,
I'll say that.
Yeah. I'm glad that
The booze definitely makes the
booze
podcasting easier.
makes the magic.
Thanks for listening to this episode of We Drink and We Farm Things. I'm Bev.
And I'm Sam, and you can find us over on Instagram at Drink and Farm. Also, we have kind of an unofficial hashtag. So if you hashtag Drink and Farm, you'll see a bunch of the posts that like Bev and I have posted. But if you guys want to go ahead and hashtag Drink and Farm so we can see you drinking and farming and not driving tractors, you know, non-machinery farming,
No
please and
dangerous
thank
things
you.
allowed.
Yeah. Yeah, no chainsaws, no, road utilers, no tractors, keep it safe. Practice safe drinking and farming. But anyways, if you hashtag drink and farm, we'll start throwing some of those as features on our Instagram and in our Instagram stories and maybe even on Facebook. So yeah, totally do that, guys, because we love Instagram and we love the chicken farm community on there. So we can't wait to see what you come up with.
Yeah, and we love hashtags. Hashtags are super fun.
Yes.
Sam hosts Chicken Selfie Sunday every Sunday, in case you didn't know that. Everybody that listens knows that. I don't know why I felt like I had to plug that.
I mean, maybe they don't. They might just know you and be listening, or might have just stumbled across us, not on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, because shoot, our episodes never work over there. Throwing shade at Apple. Now they're really not going to work over there. But yeah,
their algorithm, it spiders through our audio, and if we say anything bad about Apple, they're like, nope, this one's not going to show up. So this one's not going to show up either.
It's all my fault. Whoops.
That's all right. So yeah, use our hashtag drink and farm, and is spelled out, not the ampersand. Drink and farm, just like it is, like in our webpage. And we didn't have any cool farm stories this week, but we'd love it if you would send them to us. You can message them directly to us on Instagram. If you want one of us specifically to read it, you can go ahead and message that directly to that person through Instagram, because I'm sure that if you're following Drink and Farm, you're probably following both of us on Instagram as well. Or if you would rather use Gmail because it's so long, Instagram won't let you type it all out in their message, you can email that to drinkandfarm@gmail.com.
Woohoo!
And we'll read it.
Yes.
On one of our episodes.
Yes.
So yeah, that'll be fun. But this was episode 11, which is super exciting. We're in the teens now. Woo.
Hell yeah.
We're not quite old enough to drink.
We're preteens though. Oh man, episode 21 is going to be rowdy.
10 more to go.
Yeah, here we go. All right, guys, we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, wait, were we going to assign a homework? Or are we done with the Rotten series?
I feel like they need to watch the chicken one and the milk one,
Okay.
the cow one. So which one should we have them watch? Which one do you want to watch next?
Let's watch the chicken one next because, it's chickens and we're
Yeah.
crazy chicken people, like first and foremost, before we were anything else. So, yeah, let's watch the chicken one. I will watch some of the other ones, maybe not this week, because I was a little curious about the peanut one because it like discussed allergies and stuff. I don't know if that'll necessarily affect anybody. It doesn't affect me personally,
Yeah.
but I've always been a little fascinated by that. So I'll watch a couple of the other ones first before we assign them out. But chicken seems like a
Yes.
good, yeah, a good topic. So watch that episode of Rotten this week. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes, of course, so that you can find it super easily. And we'll talk about it next week. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us and thanks for listening.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.